Now, let's come to this question, question 9, right? So I know all of you are on this question. So let's take some time to do this, okay? I'm gonna help you guys. Okay, this is not easy. Okay, I'll just say it out now. Now, to solve this question, right, you need to be able to utilize what we call restating. What is restating? Restating means you restate the unknown lengths using what we call parts and units. If you look at this figure, there are basically two unknown lengths. Number one, right, this, right? The length of this small square is unknown, and I'm going to let this be 1 unit, which means this is also going to be 1 unit. Okay, and then the second unknown is this, right? But this is not 1 unit because this is definitely very much longer than the 1 unit you see. So because you don't know what it is, you're going to let this be 1 part. You're going to do the same for this. Okay, this part here, you don't know what this is, you're going to let this be 1 part. Okay, now this is what I want you guys to do. They said here that the parameter of the shaded part is 64 cm. Okay, so I want you guys to type out to me in the chat how many units plus how many parts equals to 64 cm. Very good. Everyone has the same answer. Huh? So very clearly, okay, 4 units plus 4 parts will get you 64 cm. So that's step 1. Huh? Now, the next thing is this. Okay, I want to find the length of the big square. If you realize over here is made up of 1 unit plus 1 part. Okay, before I find unshaded square, I'm going to take big square minus, okay, I'm going to show you, I'm going to take, this is the formula. I'm going to take this, and then I'm going to minus this, okay, and I'm going to get the unshaded square. Okay, and of course, we know what this is. This is 135 cm square. So then what we're going to focus now is trying to find this. What is the area of the big square, the very, very big square? Okay, so that's our focus right now. Okay, and before you can find area of a square, you need the length, right? Because length times length will get you area. Okay, but if you look at this big square, you don't know what the length is. The only thing you know is that the length is 1u plus 1p. But since you already have 4u plus 4p, what do you think is 1u plus 1p? How many cm do you think is 1u plus 1p? Okay, that's the next step. Right, the first one, you guys are expressing the parameter in terms of units and parts, right? So the next one, now I want you guys to tell me what should be in this box. Okay, if I know that 4u plus 4p is 64, what is 1u plus 1p? All right, now the answer to this is very simple, right? If you recall your simultaneous equation, I think, okay, maybe Joven, you may not have come across this yet because you're still P4, but the P5s, for sure, you'll definitely have done simultaneous equation, right? If you have, you know, for example, if you have 4 books plus 4 pens equals to $64, how do you find 1 book plus 1 pen? Right, you basically take 64 and you divide it by 4, right? So it's the same thing here. Okay, so those of you who have selected 16 cm, you are correct. Okay, so 1u plus 1p is actually 64 divided by 4, and I'm going to get 16 cm. Okay, so this is it. You know that 1u plus 1p is 16 cm. Just now I told you this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to take area of big square minus area of shaded, and you're going to get area of unshaded square. Okay, now how do I find this? Okay, area of shaded is already 135. Okay, and how do I find this? Area of what is the area of this? What is the area of this, right? Very simple. If you know that the length, the side of one big square is 16, the area has to be 16 times 16. And you're going to get 256 cm squared, right? And because the question tells you that the area of the shaded part is 135 cm squared, the unshaded area, it is essentially 256 minus 135. Now, how do you know it's 135? Because it's mentioned here. Okay, and then you're going to get 121 cm squared, and that's your final answer. Very good. Now, the subsequent questions are not difficult, right? But I want to explain how you're supposed to solve such questions. This is how I want you guys to try and solve this question. Okay, I want you to imagine, right? Okay, area of carpet, right, is actually the whole thing minus, imagine I remove the carpet, okay, and then I close the shaded, the top and the bottom together. Okay, so of course, you know what is the big rectangle, because a big rectangle is 10 meters times 5 meters, okay, which is 50 meters, right? So what about this figure over here, right? I want you to imagine I remove the carpet and then I close them together. I close them up together. What would the area of this new figure be? Okay, now Matthew asked a question. Can you take 10 times 2 instead? Okay, the reason why, okay, you can, right? Because eventually you find out that you will get the right answer. Okay, but the thing is that when the shapes gets a little bit more interesting, right? I want you to just have the understanding that this by right should be the right method. Because if you realize that you were not taught how to find, this is what we call a parallelogram, but you were not taught in school how to find parallelogram. You only know, you were taught in school how to find rectangles and squares, okay, and triangles. So you have to use what is being taught in school. So right now we're going to use area of rectangle. Okay, so imagine this. If I were to close up this part, right, you will realize that this remains as 10 meters, but now the breadth, instead of 5 meters, now it becomes 3 meters. So this is essentially 10 meters times 3 meters the area, which is 30 meters squared. Okay, so for question 10, the answer here is actually 20 meters squared,